Hey everybody, welcome along to another review session. Alex Mustard here to talk you through some photos. Why is not the data not there? There we go. Talk you through some photos from my trip to, as you can probably guess from this one, my trip to Komodo. We also obviously went to Rinca Island, and these photos extend across Flores because it was a longer trip, and to Alor as well. So a real mix of locations here in southern Indonesia. So starting off, I've only processed sort of a mix of pictures, and if you've watched the video on the commensals, you actually see a lot of the macro from this trip as well. One of the things that really struck me as soon as I got to Komodo was how vibrant and rich the hard coral environments were there. Really enjoyed seeing such lush hard coral growth, and that influenced these first pictures, which are taken with the WWL1 lens. This was the trip where I forgot to pack the port for my 13mm fisheye. So I did shoot some fisheye when I was able to borrow one off other people on the trip. And actually one of the ways I was borrowing them is actually I had to borrow a Z8 when this is Teresa Guys' camera. When she was skipping a dive in the early morning, often I'd get to borrow her Z8, and I wasn't so, I was very happy to shoot the Z8, but it was more that it gave me access to a fisheye lens. I've not processed much from this trip yet, but there'll be lots more to come. But these first couple are actually with the WWL, which I did have for my camera, and it gave me the chance to shoot these kind of wider shots. I do like doing these almost macro-like shots with the Nauticam wet lenses, making use of the fact that they have really nice image quality right out to the corners of the picture. You know, there's no drop off in sharpness right out on the edge of the frame here with the WWL. And I think that's a really nice feature of those lenses, and it allows you to shoot these almost like big macro shots, which is what this picture was sort of intending to do, showing just this perfectly growing hard coral, which, as any underwater photographer will tell you, is a rarer and rarer sight for us to see with these acroporas here. Still in the realm of corals, but this time with a Procellopora coral, with this freckled or Forster's hawkfish looking out from the middle of it. Back into the world of wide angle, and now borrowing an 8 to 15mm Canon fisheye to shoot on my Sony, because I forgot mine. As I said before, forgot my port on the trip, and just a simple silhouette shot of a green turtle, but just, you know, it's such beauty in the ocean. The circular shape of a green turtle in the circle of Snell's window, very nice. There, the first one without flash, the second one with flash fill, and some beautiful sun rays as well up in the shallows. It was lovely sun on this dive, but the reef was at about 8-9 meters. And the best light was shallower than the reef. So although there was amazing sunlight on this dive, it was hard to work it into the shots of the corals. And actually, I swam around for ages to find the area where the corals came shallow enough. And up here, I was able to get those beautiful sun rays into the shot, but only by coming to the shallowest part of the reef. So it's nice coral here, but it was more that I was chasing the sun rays around, coming up into the shallows to get those shots. There's a lot more to process from that dive, actually. It was a beautiful dive for hard coral. And turtles. A night dive now, and this one is a little bobtail squid cruising across the sand. Just a nice little portrait of a very cute little animal. And then some dives from Manta Alley in the south of Komodo Island. Lots and lots of mantas coming through, but very poor conditions. I thought black and white was a choice of rescuing here. I shot this as a silhouette because I just felt it was my best way of maybe getting something out of the shot, and obviously steepening the contrast by shooting up would reveal as much as I could, because it was an incredible scene. It was one of those dives that was rubbish for stills, but would have been amazing for video. And I so wish I'd had the GoPro on my camera on this dive. I still regret not having it, because we just had mantas streaming past us for 20 minutes. They were going around in circles up through this channel, and so it just seemed like a continuous conveyor belt of mantas. It was really cool. You could just about get something with flash, but the conditions were really ropey. You can see how horrible the surface is blowing out. You can see how murky the water is, but it does capture how amazing it was, and it was really cool. Out of the water, of course, no such troubles. This is a white-bellied sea eagle, the largest bird of prey that you'll see in Indonesia. And yeah, this is in Rinca Island. This one coming through. I really like this shot. I like the lighting effect of the light coming through the trees behind it, and the backlight on these primary feathers on its wings. Really, just a nice little shot. Not, it's not amazing. I didn't have a super expensive fancy lens or anything. It was just shot, with what I had. But I like the shot. Here we have a pair of Komodo dragons, very impressive creatures indeed. And these two were having a right old argument. The big one on the left was not happy about the small one being in his territory and was giving him a hard time. So yeah, that was pretty cool to see. Back underwater now, but still in that southern area. This is a red big eye in amongst green Jubastria coral, shot with a slightly slow panning shot. On this dive, it was more of a macro dive than a wide angle dive. It was diving at Cannibal Rock, which wasn't at its best. Some of the other dive sites in the area were great, but Cannibal Rock was not as spectacular as I remembered it. I think it looked like it had suffered from a bit of fishing and things like that. It was a bit beaten up. But that could have just been a storm, or it could have been all sorts of things. Who knows? But it's a pretty sheltered spot, so it looked like it was human activity that had beaten it up a bit, which was sad to see. But I'm sure it will recover. The whole of Komodo area felt very healthy when we were there, so hopefully next time I head back there, it'll be in really good condition. And this was shot with an FCP because I used my Sony, but I borrowed Paul Rosenblum's FCP. For this dive, so I was able to get a wide angle shot on this dive. Although I remember on the dive wishing I had macro on, because it was one of those dives where there were so many great macro subjects and much less to do with the wide angle. This is one of the endemic species. So these are ladybugs. The ones in the Komodo Rinca area and also in Alor, you get this lovely. They're much lighter than the ones in Bali. In Bali, they're much darker, and I think these are much more handsome. So being in the area where we got the ladybugs, we obviously wanted to get lots of shots of them. They're very tiny. They are, like if you just get a pen and just dot it down on a piece of paper. That's pretty much the size of them. So you're never going to shoot them full frame. Obviously, a lot of the time you'll see them, pictures of them, and people just show you them cropped in, because obviously if you can zoom in low, you just crop them really tightly and you can see them nice and big. But they're, for me, a real attraction of going to that area. These were shot with the SMC 3 or 2. I did take the SMC 2 on this dive and did quite a lot with them because they are really tiny. So this is a Komodo dragon on the move. I like the way it's in the air almost, just touching the sand, and then this foot is up in the air as well. For a Komodo dragon, he was going pretty quick, so that was pretty nice to see. And then on the night dive, this is a starry night octopus, one of my favourite octopus species. Don't see them very much, but recently we've been seeing them lots. So this trip they were on lots of dives. I didn't get the shot I wanted of one. They can make really, really nice shapes, especially when they sit up, because their body shape is really interesting. This shot is fine, but I would like to have shot a better shot of him. There was just too many subjects on this dive to spend more than this time on this guy. I think this could have been really cool with a single strobe, particularly a reduced beam angle single strobe could have really brought this subject to life. But I was busy with those sea pens, which I showed in the other video. So lots to see on that night dive. Very, very, very good night diving there. Some more of the ladybugs. They are just spectacular looking. Oh, sorry, it doesn't go sharp if I zoom twice. I remember now. They're spectacular looking creatures. Really, really, really cool to see. This is on this dark blue tunicate, so it really stands out from it. I think this shot would be better if it was cropped a little tighter. So it was just him on the dark blue. But as someone who's selling my pictures, I'd rather not crop them heavily. I'd rather, put a picture like that online. Hopefully, the client is aware that the picture is got lots of resolution, and they might see that picture and go, oh, that would make a great vertical in the magazine, and we'll just have the ladybug at the top and all the blue below it. This gives you an idea of how small they are. This is showing you that whole small little tunicate, and basically they are just little specks on it. Which one's in focus? That one there is in focus. You can see how tiny they are. But very, very cool animals. Another commensal. This one is a soft coral goby on soft coral, obviously, and then back into the beautiful hard coral gardens of northern Komodo. Really, really impressive. I really like these sites. You wouldn't want to do every dive in just these amazing hard coral meadows, but they are so attractive, and it's just so great to see hard corals just growing and growing almost like weeds, like this. Fantastic to see, and I really enjoyed this dive. I was on the WWL again on this dive because obviously all the group wanted to shoot wide angle and there wasn't a spare wide angle for me to borrow, but it was actually, I think, quite a good choice of lens. So I was very happy with that. Working a turtle in as a background here, and then another soft coral goby on this lovely yellow soft coral. These are in Flores now, I think. Yeah, we're moving into Flores now. A ornate ghost pipefish, and then into Alor. I still have a lot to process from this trip, really a lot. So this is just a first smattering of images. These are the fish traps that they use in Alor. Alor is really blew me away as a location. Very, very beautiful environment. Real amazing mixture of dive sites, from properly blue water, spectacular coral reefs, to fantastic muck diving, all in a really small area. You've got also big pelagic creatures moving through. We swam with mola there, but you also, with lots of dolphins and things, incredible tidal movements through the channels there, and they're deep water channels as well, so very impressive, and properly cold water as well in the south. So an amazing area. I felt a little overfished, and I think the reefs really lacked big fish. And although these artisanal fisheries are often promoted as being in harmony with the reefs, yes, they don't do a lot of damage in themselves to the reefs, but there's no doubt that there's a lot of people doing a lot of fishing in this area. And yeah, you really notice on doing an itinerary like this when you're in protected waters and when you're not. And yeah, a lot of fish taken out of the sea in this area. As you can see in this picture, there's a couple of what are they called? They're Tile, aren't they? They're neon fusiliers, and then a little yellow damselfish there. Lovely sponges though, lovely crinoids in this area. Really nice to shoot. This is shot with a Z8. I think these are all Z8 shots actually. Yeah, so borrowing Teresa's camera, shooting with the Z8. These are over a couple of different dives. Really nice. Yeah, and the fish traps are a really good story. I don't think they're as quite in harmony with nature as is often talked about, but it's certainly better than them using dynamite or any of the other very destructive fishing methods that can get used across Indonesia. This is one of my favourite shots from the trip. This is a super cool carrier crab. They normally carry urchins, but this one he was carrying an upside down jellyfish. I just love his pose. He's just there with his claws down. Just a really, really characterful pose, and he's also got this amazing disguise that he's carrying around with him. And obviously they carry the disguise around like this when they feel threatened. The crab basically buries itself in the sand and disappears underneath the upside down jellyfish. A stargazer. I like the way that this one is, you see the camouflage of it, you see the sand, and then you see the mouth, and then maybe the eyes, and then the outline of the stargazer. And this is obviously the very classic angle on a stargazer, but it's always a crowd pleaser, and yeah, I'm always happy to see and photograph stargazers. It's just a little coral pattern that I thought was quite attractive. It looked like antlers. They're quite cool shapes. A hystrix, a spiny seahorse, thorny seahorse, and this is a male one here with his breeding pouch. You can see here, and no little anal fin. But yeah, just nice. And one of the muck dives taken in Alor, and some more of the night diving macro creatures. It was a great trip to travel over such a wide area. I think I would have loved just more time doing it, really. It was almost like twice as many days in all the areas would have been great. It was great to pass through so many amazing areas, and we did get to repeat dive sites, but it would have been lovely to completely be able to repeat some of the days. but this is a corallomorph decorated crab. And then this pink sponge with a little goby on it. Just a little handsome little ghost goby, many host ghost goby, I guess, or sponge goby. I'm not sure which. Then back out onto the beautiful reefs, and you can see how much colour and vibrance there was on this reefs. Tend to be dominated by small fish, which does give you the feeling. This is, I think, back towards Flores now. Does give you the feeling there's quite a lot of fishing, but really, really beautiful reefs and very nice visibility as well. Better visibility than you'd typically get in Raja Ampat. So I really enjoyed those aspects of the trip. This is another soft coral goby. You can see it's got a parasitic copepod here attached to it. But yeah, just very nice on this lithophyton soft coral. And that brings us back to the beginning. So hopefully you enjoyed that run through. I'll just flick my way back through so you can see all the images and get a feel for, read the settings if you want to. But yeah, very enjoyable trip, and there's still a lot more to come from that one. So thanks for watching.